Hello again, book lovers, and hot on the heels of 1177, we have Black Athena, a book which looks into the origins of Hellenistic culture and argues, as the subtitle puts it, that it has Afro-Asiatic roots. This book is still chatted about. You can check on the internet, but suspiciously polarising opinions appear in the comments section. And I'm guessing a lot of the commenters didn't actually read the book because, to be honest, Black Athena as a title, the idea of the blackness of the skin doesn't actually enter into it. The section titled Were the Egyptians Black, which seems to be the massive bone of contention for a lot of people, doesn't occur till right near the end of the book. And yet it seems, again, I'm such an amateur, but look at the pictures on the friezes. There are clearly different races identified by costumes and skin colour, foreign visitors, whether they be from Upper Egypt, Nubia, or wherever. That's an interesting tangle of racial history, but I wasn't quite sure how much skin colour had to do with it, considering it's the actual title of the book. Now, the problem with this weighty tome for me, and it's over 400 pages of main argument, is that I'm not sure who it's arguing against. A large part of the middle of the book is concerned with wranglings and goings-on between members of Assyrian societies and Göttingen University and Cambridge, and what influence the Jews had and who the Phoenicians were, etc., etc. In short, I think those days are gone, and so it takes away a large part of the purpose of this book. Unfortunate, because it started off with some romping etymological theories, which I found interesting. Place names, myths, common words, which the author argues came in via Egypt, the Levant, rather than via the Aryan Indo-Europeans from the north. Well, as in many of these things, and I'm no expert, just an interested amateur, I think it's a bit of both. And also, why the insistence on this just now? I say now, this book was printed in 1986. There's a volume 2 and a volume 3. I might be tempted to have a look at the parts which are concerned with etymology. But I found a lot of this very stodgy, truth to tell. After the excellent start, we wait until page 382 before we get some etymology connected with speculative words for crown. And it is all theory, and in contrast to Klein's book, this is definitely pushing a position. And so, as I've started near the end, let me conclude with the last page before the author's own conclusion. He says, they cannot see why the colonisations reported by tradition should be so improbable, why the Greek language should not be treated like any other language, and why it should not have been heavily influenced by Egyptian and West Semitic. Why the Greeks should not have taken their religion from Egypt, as Herodotus and other ancient Greeks maintained, or why Greek scientists and philosophers should not have learned much of their science and philosophy in Egypt. Well, neither do I. I suppose we should realise that this book was written in 1985 and was dealing with current theories as of post-war, so you're talking about 45 to 85. Well, nearly the same amount of time has passed since this book was printed, and I don't think we find many people putting up opposition to any of those theses. So, unfortunately, I would say an unnecessary book, and unless you really want to wrangle about the history of racism via 19th century German universities, you might be interested in that. And the opinions of what this obviously very liberal author quaintly calls blacks with capital B, but they merely become entwined into this rather race obsessive look back through an ancient historical period, but always hammering on the same forge.